Hi everyone, today's day 41 and we just finished Redux fundamentals, and today we looked at kind of a high level overview of what Redux actually is, and it's kind of some of the things that Redux tries to solve, and by using a single source of truth, immutability, and a whole bunch of other concepts as well. And then we looked at ways to change the data within the Redux store. So in order to do that, you have to know how to correctly clone an array or an object so that you can iterate over it and change that instead of the one that's inside the Redux store. And so methods like map, filter, and reduce become very important in this case. And also you can use .concat or object.assign as well as other methods. And that's it for the most part today. The project was working with a to-do counter. So as you can see in the example, you can increment and decrement, and also do an async, which was a stretch challenge where it will wait a certain amount of time before it increments the value. And also the stretch was also to do, if the number's odd, then it would increment. So just these little things today, just for us to get used to Redux, because it is a lot of boilerplate and setting up, and the concepts are very complex. So you just have to kind of wrap your head around it before we actually get started on the code. But that's it for today, and looking forward to tomorrow where we start a to-do list as well. Okay, day 42, and we worked on a to-do app with Redux today, and it was pretty cool to see the ideas of Redux going into action. And it was a little bit difficult setting up, to be honest, but I think I had a lot of review over the weekend. I got started early to try to learn the concept, so it was a more gentle transition for me today, so I'm thankful for that. So things that we had to learn about include action creators, and then the reducer and the Redux store. And we had to learn how to use the boilerplate to set up different things like create store, or using the provider so you can pass down to all the components. Just a lot of syntax things today. And then with the project itself, I was able to do a to-do item, but then I'm still working on the delete item. It was working before, but I don't know, I must have tweaked some code and it didn't like it, so I'm going to try to fix that later tonight. Other than that, it's been a pretty productive day, and I'm really enjoying Redux so far, even though it's quite complex, but I can see how this would be useful in a bigger application. For a to-do app, this is just too much overkill, and it looks like it's more boilerplate, more complexity than is necessary, but I understand why they're starting us with this kind of example, just for us to learn. And that's it for today, and I'm looking forward to learning async tomorrow. I had a little bit of preview, just going over some of the examples or YouTube videos on the weekend, and we'll be using things like redux-thunk, Axios, middleware, that sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to that, and hope you enjoyed the video today. Thanks a lot. Day 43, and we learned about async Redux. And some of the things that we picked up were learning how to use middleware and importing redux-thunk, and we also use Redux Logger as well, and they're all pretty cool tools. The lecture was pretty good for today. We went over the topic yesterday, which was just kind of learning how the flow in Redux occurs, and then the last half of the class we went over this new async Redux stuff. For me, this topic wasn't too hard. I spent a lot of time before class and also the morning right before class to try to pick this up. And I think what I found is that Redux kind of flows together pretty much in one step, if that makes sense. When you're learning it, you kind of learn it all together because it's one big flow. But once you get the pattern down and you learn how to connect different things, it becomes a lot better. The project for today, we worked with an app called Swappy. It was just basically, we were rendering out data from an API. It was actually Star Wars data again, and there was also a little loading animation if it was in the process of fetching. versus once the gets data, it will turn that off. And this was not too difficult. The example that was given in class was also very helpful. It was a doggos, async redux doggos example that they had on Code Sandbox, and you can kind of just follow that to understand the project. And it was a good day overall. I didn't really have any blockers. It did take me some time to implement everything and to work it out, but I was able to get it finished pretty early. And that's it for today. Hi everyone, today was day 44, and I won't say too much because it was pretty much the same thing as yesterday. We started a new project from scratch. This project is working with the friends list, and we had to pull API data from a server that we ran, and then we had to run our own client to interact with that server. And we had to run redux-thunk, logger as well. And so the only new thing today that we picked up was to learn how to use a get request and a post request using action reducers combo. So I was able to understand that concept. I'm still working on the put requests as well as the delete requests. Those are a little bit harder, especially involved with this server, and then with Redux, it's a little bit new of a concept to me, and kind of just wrapping my head around the general workflow of it is a little bit difficult. So going to keep trying here, and we should be ready for tomorrow's sprint challenge. It's just basically get and post requests, so I already familiar with those and comfortable with those. It's just the other two that I'm trying to work my head around. So thanks so much for watching, and have a great evening. Hey everyone, just finished day 45, and today was the sprint challenge working on the Smurfs project that we did before. This time we just have to implement Redux. It was not too bad today. I got stuck a little bit working on just rendering out something from the store. I was using this .props.smurfs, and it would just come back undefined, and for the longest time I didn't know why it was doing that. All the routes were correct, and all the dispatch, the actions and the reducers were correct. Turned out that what I did was I just set a conditional render, and I just said, okay, if it does have something, then render. If not, just render null, and that ended up working just fine. And I don't know why it does that, because most of the other examples that I saw in class and online didn't have that, and maybe it's something in my app, but I'm going to take a closer look this weekend just to see if I missed something maybe. And next week we're going to be doing the week-long project week, so it's not going to be lectures or anything. It's just straight working through projects from Monday morning until Thursday evening. So I don't mind that at all. It gives me a lot of time management stuff that I can do, and frees up my time more if I can do it efficiently. And a little bit tired today, but got through everything, and I'm about to have my meeting with my project manager just to go over how my week went and how the sprint went and everything. Other than that, I'm going to sign off for today. Hope you guys have a good weekend.